Next, we'll have law and licensing committee report that will be presented by the committee chair, board member or Chair Lear. And thank you, Jeff, for putting this up because I can't split my screen for some reason.
Okay, this is the committee report for the Law and Licensing Committee for July 2020. And the first item is item 9.2, which I had a little confusion. The summary didn't list this as an action item, but I thought it was an action item. So maybe Deputy Superintendent Stallings could help us.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, last month in the July board meeting, the board approved Utah State University's application approval and remediation process based on the June Law and Licensing Committee action. As part of the Law and Licensing Committee action, they approved or recommended approval of those, but asked that Utah State University come back to address some clarifying questions and issues. So that is what happened in July. It was really just an information item, and no action was needed or no action was taken by the committee in July. So there's no motion needed related to 9.2 this month.
Okay. Thank you.
Please continue, Chair.
We'll move on to item 9.3, State Charter School Board Expansion Approval Process. We had a very comprehensive discussion, helpful information provided by the State Charter School Board staff. And the motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve the State Charter School Board's process to approve expansion requests.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve the State Charter School Board's process to approve charter school expansion request. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye. Voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously.
The next item is item 9.4, R277-100, definitions for Utah State Board of Education rules. There were a couple of definitions, the most important being the definition of cumulative file or cum file for students. We had a good discussion. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board continue and approve R277-100, definitions for Utah State Board of Education rules, draft 3 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board continues and approve R277-100, draft 3, definitions for Utah State Board of Education rules on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, please vote. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
The next item is item 9.5, R277-319, special educator stipends, which is a new rule. Speaks for itself. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve R277-319, special educator stipends, draft 1 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-319, special education stipends, draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, Please vote.
Chair,
Yes.
sorry, just one quick question. I wondered what the source of funds is for this stipend.
We have a question.
And I would defer to Superintendent Stallings or Jones.
Okay, Angie, can you handle that? Are you still on or you?
I am still on, Chair, thank you, but I do not know the answer, and I wonder if either Deputy Superintendent Jones or Jennifer Thronson or Ben Rasmussen can answer.
I think Leah's hands up, which she
Oh, Leah would be great.
would be. Okay, Leah? Voorhees, can you respond to the question?
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes.
Assistant Superintendent Leah Voorhees, thank you for the question. So this is state funding. It's a legislative line item. And we have a certain amount that is allocated each year. And then we divide it by the number of teachers that we have in Cactus that are eligible for the funding at the beginning of each year, and send the number of days that a special education teacher can or a speech pathologist can work before the beginning of the school year or after the end of the school year to do paperwork, so that they know at the beginning of each year how much stipend is available for per teacher. So it's a state line item.
Can I follow up, Chair?
Yeah, follow up.
Just wondering, in the rule, is that addressed at all as far as where the source comes? It says as long as funds are available, but do we need to state that it's a line item that we need to pay attention to and make sure that we're getting those funds every year, or at least advocating for them?
Chair, should I respond?
Yes, please respond.
So it is ongoing funding, but as far as needing to include in the rule that citing that, I would defer to Angie as far as rule making process.
Sure, Chair, if I may.
Angie, yes.
Yeah, we don't usually include in our rules language saying, you know, how we advocate or monitor funds going up or down or whether they continue or not. But we obviously, as staff, we do track the appropriations for all line items that come to us. And when we see that they've reduced or not, we notify, and maybe Deputy Jones could speak to this better than me, the applicable staff, like in this case, Assistant Superintendent Voorhees would be identified along with her staff about projections or an estimated decrease in funds. And as you know, our staff are very good about advocating for increases in appropriations when they see either demand is needed or other reasons for increasing. So that is part of our kind of annual review of appropriations.
Chair,
Yes.
that's enough of an answer for me. I missed when I reviewed this, but 53F2310 has some specific language about the legislator appropriating funds. That helps to answer my question. That is referenced in the rule. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions. The motion before the board is that the board approve R277-319 special educator stipends draft 1 on second and final reading. At this time, please vote. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Please continue.
Next item is a result of the previous item 9.6, R277-525, special educator stipends, which is a repeal. No, it's no longer necessary because of the previous action by the board. So the motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board repeal R277-525, special educator stipends on second and final reading.
And The motion before the board is that the board repeal R277-525, special educator stipends on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion for this repeal. Seeing none, so please vote. Voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. Please continue.
Item 9.9 on the agenda, which is R277-750, Education Programs for Students with Disabilities. This is an amendment. The point of this is to incorporate by reference the special education manual that has been updated and is used extensively by public educators in the generally and by special educators specifically. It was an excellent discussion and we had excellent, I think, information from our staff, and I appreciate that very much. It's taken us a while. So the motion for the board, again, which is just to incorporate by reference this manual, is that the committee moves that the board approve R277-750, Education Programs for Students with Disabilities, Draft 1, incorporating special education rules manual, proposed version 062520, capital A, as amended on second and final reading.
So Jeff, can you jump down to 9, please? Okay.
Did I skip?
Yep, that's it. The motion
Oh, I
before
did
the board.
skip. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, we'll take care of
Pick 'em
this.
up.
We're good. So the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-750 draft 1, incorporating the special education rules manual, proposed version 062520A as amended on second and final reading. Discussion to that motion. Seeing none, please vote.
Chair, I apologize. This is Angie Stallings. May I make a comment?
Yes.
I believe that the actual motion was for that and I'm trying to look between two documents, but you just made the motion about a document that starts with a 6. And I believe the version that actually needed to be incorporated, because it was that 062520A as amended, the committee amended it. So really the motion should have been, and I apologize, Chair Lear, that we didn't catch this before, that we incorporate version 071020.
Okay. I would
Okay, give me the number one more time.
So the motion would be that the board approve R277-750 draft 1, incorporating the special education rules manuals proposed version 071020 on second and final reading, which is essentially the A as amended. So as long as, I apologize, just wanted to make it clear that what the board was passing is version 071020.
Okay, let me restate the motion. And Chair Lear, tell me if this would be correct. The motion before the board is that the board approve R277-750 draft 1, incorporating the special education rules manual proposed version 071020 as amended on second and final reading.
I don't think Angie can speak to this probably more accurately, but I don't think you need as amended if you have the updated manual number.
Correct.
Is that right?
Okay.
So strike the as amended and then.
All right, so I'll restate it. Okay. That the board approve R277-750 draft 1, incorporating the special education rules manual proposed version 071020 on second and final reading.
Yeah, I think that's right. Right, Andy? Yes?
Okay.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay.
Okay, discussion to the motion. Board Member Marsh? Your hand up? No.
On mine's not either.
Okay, well, let's vote on it then. I'll restate it because I gave a sentence there. That the board approve R277-750 Draft 1, incorporating the Special Education Rules Manual proposed version 071020 on second and final reading. All those in favor, please vote. The voting is complete and the motion passes unanimously. And thank you, Angie, for catching that.
Yes. And
Okay.
I was so excited to skip to that item on the agenda that I skipped over to others. We'll go back to item 9.7, R277-492, Utah Science, Technology and Research Initiative, USTAR Centers Program, which is an amendment. And the motion for the board is the committee moves that the board approve R277-492, math and science opportunities for students and teachers, most program, draft 1 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-492, the most program, draft 1 on second and final reading. Discussion to that motion? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, the motion passes with one board member. Lear,
No, I voted. I'm sorry.
okay, there you go. There you go.
Voted and
With
put it
one
down.
no, with one nay, and that would be board member Belknap. Okay, please continue.
Item 9.8, R277-925, effective teachers in high poverty schools incentive program. There were some recent legislative changes. That's the changes to the rule. The motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve R277-925, effective teachers in high poverty schools incentive program, draft 2 on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-925, effective teachers in high poverty schools and incentive program, draft 2 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion. Board member Earl.
Thank you. I just have a clarifying question. So what we're adding is law. We're tying this to teacher benchmark assessments in our schools that are highly impacted. I just want to make sure I understand on line 71, the section says an LEA or eligible teacher may appeal eligibility to the superintendent on the basis that the teacher, and then it gives several reasons why, or lists some items there. So if I'm understanding this right, that an eligible teacher could still apply for that funding or to receive that incentive, even if they didn't meet that criteria, if they had other, if they could demonstrate that they, the work that they've done has been exceptional, or that they've done something that should be merited. Am I accurate in saying that?
I would defer to Superintendent Stallings or somebody else she designates.
Angie Stallings, you want to take that one on, or do you want?
Yes, I will go ahead. And then if a staff member would like to raise their hand if they have more to add than what I'm about to say. if you look at that language, it only applies to those educators or teachers who have less than 10 tested students. So it wouldn't apply globally. I don't know if that helps, but it's only for a teacher who has less than 10 tested students.
Okay, so the new element on 52 and 53, do we have a clear understanding that do we have a knowledge as to whether or not educators are going to be able to receive the stipend based on this criteria, or is this the first time it's out?
I see your question. Is your question wondering whether there are teachers who could qualify under the grade 1-3, and whether, because we would do those assessments, whether they might be able to appeal this year only based on that language, because most of our teachers had 0 kids tested. I guess I'm trying to get to where maybe you're going.
I'm just wondering if we're tied to that assessment, or if there's other maybe other measurement tools that teacher could use that they've worked on with students that are maybe highly impacted or below grade average, because there may be a number of those students that this teacher's done an outstanding job with that won't meet that benchmark assessment. I guess that's my question. So
I think Jennifer Thronson wanted to weigh in on this. Jennifer, could you help on this, please?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Jennifer Thronson, Director of Teaching and Learning, and specifically for this one, it is dictated on the teachers in grades 1-3. The only common assessment that we have to be able to compare across teachers in the setting is Acadiance reading. It would be hard to determine the 85% of students assessing at that typical or better level in a comparison model if every teacher was using a different assessment data. We can't do a comparison across the teachers. Additionally, this was not funded this session, although it was funded, it was taken back given this is a new piece. And so we don't actually have additional dollars at this time to support the expansion to grades 1-3. So just keep that in mind as well.
Does that answer your question, Board Member Earl?
yeah, I suppose so. So, or at least it got the answer I was looking for. So thank you.
Okay. We go back to the motion on the screen. Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-925, effective teachers in high poverty schools incentive program draft 2 on second and final reading. I'm not seeing any other hands raised, so board members at this time, please vote. Voting is complete, and the motion passes unanimously. So please continue.
And that completes our report, with great thanks to the Law and Licensing Committee and the supportive staff. These have been a couple of very difficult committee meetings, and I thought we had great discussions. So thank you.
And thank you, Chair Lear.